Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to 80 Days. We are traveling the world. We are in Brisbane, Australia. We were settled into a hotel by Balimba Creek in the suburb of Carina, surrounded by sugarcane, little vineyards, and miles of bush thick, with wallabies, bears, iguanas, snakes, and all manner of murderous native wildlife. There is a certain kind of beauty to the land, considering everyone is going to die by a tarantula the size of a rather large dinner plate. I said to one of the maids, an indigenous Murray girl in a starched cotton uniform. This is very built up now, she lamented. Is that so? I asked, surprised. She nodded. Even a few years ago, my clan would hold corroborees in Cairn Cross and on Cannon Hill, but now the hills are stripped of useful timber. The native police destroy our settlements, and the white farmers take our ceremonial land. That sounds terrible. It does kind of, actually. Like, that sucks. My clan is wasted from disease, and either chased into the bush or addicted to gin distilled by the pioneers, which is, of course, only the best, highest quality of gin that they're given to the indigenous people that they are then chasing into the bush. She pulled a scribbled letter out of her pocket and handed it to me. I read the letter closely. It was a letter of complaint, protesting at the treatment of the Aboriginal people by the white settlers. It was well written, if a bit smudged. I'm going to send it to the Moreton Bay Courier. You know what? I'll take it for you. Why not? Coming from a man such as myself, a white man? Tricky. A man of substanding. You are a servant just like me, the girl replied. Low blow. She tucked the letter back into her pocket. I mean, she's not wrong. Of course she's right. Obviously. Maybe if I give it to Phileas. Maybe he should give the letter. I wish I could just leave this place and forget it, she sighed. As you will. I wish it did not matter to me. Things change, but I have found that new ways always open up. For you, perhaps, and those like you, but there are always people left behind. Also very true. That is rarely true. As she turned and resumed her cleaning, I wondered what it would be like to be so tied to one place that you clung fast, even as others tried to wrest it from you. I imagined my own MAILMAN in the Murray girl's starched cotton uniform. Progress always comes with a price. It really does. Sometimes ways of life die to make way for progress. And it can be hard to figure out, is that right or is that wrong? I mean, certain ways of life have gone by the wayside. You know, extremely old traditions and methods of approaching things, but then again, sometimes methods of approaching things aren't fantastic, you know. Just think about modern medicine, you know. That alone is, you do away with the tradition of whatever healing ointment or home remedy that people have, and you introduce modern medicine, you're getting rid of something, but you're also hoping to improve. But then again, there is the problem that you never quite know if you actually are improving things. Maybe it's better just to let things lie sometimes. Of course, ideally, you would just figure out how to incorporate the past with the future, and it would all work out. Who knows? My circling thoughts chased all restfulness away, and I sat up instead to listen to the sounds of shrieking birds and animals lowing against the churn of the sugar mills. Day 60, Monsieur Fogg murmured that night in his sleep, and we are not even yet halfway. I thought we were halfway. My grasp of geography is nil. To the market! Dragon's Eye. I will sell it for 7,000 because I am flat broke. One of the laden's crew frantically waved at me from across the street. Passepartout, she gasped. Over here. I crossed over to her and noticed that she was supporting herself with wooden crutches. Her left shin was bound up and splinted. I need your help, she said, putting an ether rag to her face and inhaling deeply. Please. What happened to your leg? I asked, wincing a little at the purpled flesh I could see above the bandages. It's broken, she said. The captain left me here to get healed, but Passepartout, the surgeon, is a quack. He wants to amputate my foot. I got a second opinion. She nodded fervently. Yes, I had the same thought, but I have to find one. I have this notice to put in the paper in Moreton Bay. She pulled a scrap of paper from her pocket and held it out to me. It's too far for me to hobble. I'll take it for you, I offered gallantly. I'm never going to win this bet. Sorry, Phileas. After an hour, I was still determined. The baked dust sent dizzy trails spinning into the air, and strange creatures chittered in the scrub on either side. A man, I realized, could drop dead on these paths and not be found. Is it possible to die in this game? This was a vast and empty country, perhaps the last such on Earth, or so it seemed to me. I walked on, my feet growing more sore and worn with every step. Eventually reaching the small settlement around Moreton Bay. The shoreline was beautiful and dotted with little fishing boats, but I saw no large buildings and nothing that resembled a newspaper office. I asked the first person I passed, because drinking men are scary, a woman carrying several loaves of fresh bread. You said what? She demanded slowly. I asked again, more slowly, the Moreton Bay Courier. I have a notice for them. There was clearly a confusion. The Courier? What, the paper? Yeah, that's right. Another laugh. Oh no. You came to Moreton Bay to visit the Courier. I think I've made this clear. Friend, came the reply. The Courier's in the city, in Brisbane, where I just came from. This woman is a charlatan. It's named after the bay. That's all. It's not here. Why would newspapermen and their like want to live out here? Yeah, that's pretty horrific. Say, did you walk here? You must be half dead. A few people were gathered around me now, laughing at the foreigner who has no concept of geography. One gave me a cup of water, taking something from my hand to give it to me. I confess I felt rather weak, and I drank. They sat me down in the shade, my head span and lapsed into fitful unconsciousness. A few minutes passed, and I began to feel more myself as the water revived me. Listen, one man said sympathetically. I'm on my way to town right now. If you want to ride, if you're well enough to ride, that would be much appreciated. Yes, please, yes, please. Well then, you come with me. The man loaded me up onto his cart and whipped the reins, and soon we were rattling along the dusty road once more. Trees that had crawled past now skimmed by in the other direction. So what do you want with the courier anyhow? He asked. You look like a foreigner to me. I intend to give them this notice, I replied. I don't know why I would keep that a secret. But the notice was not in my pocket, not in either pocket, nor in my jacket, nor under my seat. I began to search around in some alarm, looking at me with quiet interest, but now slowing the cart. I had a notice. It's what they took from my hand to give me water. You were clutching a filthy handkerchief, wet with sweat, he corrected. I think someone got you a new one, a fresh one. There was nothing I could do. My staggering from the heat, I had lost the submariner's vital notice. Could not even recreate it from memory, for I did not even know the woman's name. Finally, we returned to town, and I was dropped near our lodgings. The woman was waiting for me in the shade of one of the town's drinking dens, her face pale and sweaty with pain and heat. You have been so long, she said. Well, did you place my notice? Still gasping for breath, I replied. The newspaper is not there, but here. She stared at me blankly. I lost it. She looked outraged for a moment, then shook her head. And I will write another notice and deliver it myself, since the office is nearby. I am sorry, I said in defeat. It was unforgivable of me. You found out that the courier was in town, she replied, which I think she could have learned. She had asked around. For that, in itself, you have my thanks. She's a good sport. For someone with future one leg, she's a good sport. Oh, Frog liked that I did that. Off I go to the next great adventure. The air balloon! How we fell into with Corporal Bruce McIntyre retired, I really cannot say. Perhaps it was the gossip about him, overheard on every street corner. Perhaps my master simply had a knack for locating lunatics. A wonderful skill in this life, keeps you on your toes and keeps life interesting. Either way, we were snared into his little adventures to fly to Auckland in a homemade hot... Okay, we're gonna die. Have you traveled by hot air balloon before? The corporal demanded, as we drifted sedately across the sea. It is hardly a common mode of transport, I replied. I think he will appreciate that he is the one to provide a new experience unheard of across the rest of the world. That it isn't, he replied cheerfully, and it's overlooked ballooning as a way of getting about. Ballooning is good for the soul. I couldn't agree more. Of course, you are at the mercy of the winds, and you might wind up on a mysterious island. The world spans below us like a stone rolling in a fountain, and everything seemed simple. That's actually a massive balloon. Well, you built this craft. Indeed, sir. And only from parts I could find in local rubbish bins. We are going to die. We are doomed. He patted the side of the hanging burner. Rather cautiously, I might add. Why only that way? Cheap, he declared. Very cheap. Cheapest way to fly. Because that's what you want when you're over the Pacific. Cheap flight. It charged us well enough. All in all, I wished I had not asked him anything, so proceeded to ask nothing more. Somewhere. Naturally, disaster chose its moment to strike, because I'm in a hot air balloon made out of garbage. And at the moment was when we were halfway, with nothing in view below but endless, blank, invincible ocean. Called it. Disaster in this instance took the form of a raging thunderstorm. Have you seen lightning strike the ocean? I actually have, and it's really beautiful. So long as you're not plunging violently to your death. It is like something from the laboratories of the celebrated Dr. Frankenstein. And had we seen an electric whale with a bolt through its neck, I would not have been surprised. The wind began to pick up as the storm grew on the horizon, black and swirling like a bruise, approaching us quickly, devouring all in its wake. Oh dear, McIntyre remarked, pointing upwards. Someone's not happy with us. Yeah. I'd say a low pressure front is not happy with us. But maybe that's just me. We did not hit the water. In fact, we made good time. The storm blew us along to within sight of the coast of New Zealand, and then just as sharply blew out. The magnificent craft. The magnificent craft of McIntyre. Magnificent it is indeed for being made out of rubbish and surviving the storm. Held together through all that, and only at the last minute did it fall to bits, depositing us into the water. Never mind. Found myself floating in the flotsam and the jetsam. On the overturned basket, Monsieur Fogg on a suitcase. McIntyre disappeared into the water, and though I dived to find him, I could see nothing. Thus, we lost a good man at sea. We were alone, as the poet said, on the wine-dark sea. Monsieur Fogg bowed his head for a moment. There goes a brave man, I declared. Wondering who he might have left behind. Presumably no one. Such a balloon as his was the project of a rootless man. We must paddle, we must summon help. I am curious how you summon help out in the middle of nowhere. Raising the harmonica with which I intended to call for aid. Monsieur Hug frowned. I think you may need more than that. I think you may be right. He was right, of course. I mean, obviously. Oh, we are dying. The evening wore on, and we began to slowly row our boat in the direction we hoped of shore. Huh, Hospital 2. I feel somewhat dreadful. You will be unsurprised to hear that progress was slow. But after several hours of hard labor, we were in fact rescued by none other than a group of men in a canoe fitted with an outboard motor. They hauled us aboard with some surprise, obviously. I thanked them profusely, as one should when rescued from the ravages of death in the cold, clammy ocean. We came out to fish, the lead canoeist remarked. Whitefish, looks like. Nah. Sopping, tired, cold, clinging to our remaining cases, and shivering to the bone. We had no reason to argue. The motor was revved, and we returned to land that evening, and we are arriving in Auckland. Well, we made it to Auckland. We went over the water, and we went in the water. And we rode atop the water. A lot of water. Well, anyway. I hope you're enjoying this journey we're taking. See you in the next episode. Good night. Good luck.